Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where we hope that you are as awesome as Kelvin is.
Man,
Kelvin,
that's a lot of awesome.
it's an awful lot.
Telling
of
you, that's a lot of awesome. But I wish that for them also.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Shearer. As a matter of fact, I'm in a good mood. I would say we have good weather. That means it's not snowing.
Is it warm yet?
Life is good. It's comparatively speaking, yes. I think it's maybe 47-ish today.
Okay, we're coming up in April, and man, I don't know. That's right on the border, man.
It's 45 degrees right now, and that's okay because last week it was in the low teens.
I can get away with a heavy sweatshirt or light jacket in 45 degree weather.
But if you want, I'll connect with the universe and see if we can't warm that up just a bit for you. Because I know
if it can be like 58 every day when we're there.
Ooh, man, tall order. Wait a minute, but we're talking April though, right?
Yeah, we're talking another.
It's possible.
Yeah,
we had that year.
I won't get greedy.
I appreciate that.
I won't get greedy and ask for like 77.
Oh man, my power only goes so far.
But 58 would be nice.
But you I don't know if you were here for the year. It got so warm in the winter that it confused everything.
There was one year in December that it got like warm for 10 days. Yeah,
it confused the bees. The bees came out of hibernation. The trees started blooming again, and it was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But
it was like 70 days. It was like 70 degrees for like
crazy.
10 days or something in December, and it was, and it ruined everything for the spring.
Yeah. Like nobody knew what was going on for anything.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back, it's always rude. It's very rude. Because, but anyway, that does not appear to be the case this year. And we're just having.
It seems to have been like atypically warm-ish. In a lot of the Northeast this year.
A little bit more than normal, but when it dipped down back to the teens, I mean, it made up for it.
Well, I mean, our last winter there, and
that was
our last winter, like it spent 2 weeks with highs, around 15 below. So if it's dipping into the teens at night, you're still talking 30 degrees warmer than
when you left, huh?
Yeah, and those were highs for the day. That wasn't middle of the night stuff.
Well, there was that too. So
I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, I know that there are temperatures that actually affect your systems, like. Cryotherapy will hit. Will really work your lungs and your heart. When you're talking, minus 250 degrees or whatever.
I'm not looking forward to being in that temperature.
No, but you do that for a couple of minutes tops. But I don't know how well we distinguish between that like 30 degree range or a 40 degree range from like minus 20 to 20 Fahrenheit.
I don't know.
Like that all just sounds the same to me.
Cold?
Yeah. But is it that distinguishable? I think maybe like the warm end of that, like the higher end of that, like you could tell the difference, but it's very incremental.
Every once in a while,
it's very incremental once it creeps down.
Humidity changes, which is kind of a weird thing, and when the humidity changes, I feel the cold differently. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. That normally it's cold and dry, but when it's cold and wet, it just sticks in your bones and hurts.
Yeah, and it's like crazy. So I don't like those, but hey,
But when it sticks in your bones and hurts, you can go to your pantry and open a box of Kettle and Fire bone broth. That is, if you planned ahead and went over to kettleandfire.com and did a little searching for your most delicious stuff. How about some Chipotle beet broth? Yeah. Fill up your cart, have them send it over to you. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off. It's kettleandfire.com, kettleandfire.com. Fill up your box with all the best soups and broths for that bone-chilling cold. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout, and they will give you 10% off. Now the Master of Transition says, let's do the show.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
You know, Mr. Shearer, that was nicely done. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
I got to give you a high 6 on that one. Oh, that was good. That was good. You never cease to amaze me.
That might
take
not.
it any way you want to take it. Anyway. What's going on?
Well,
what talk about today, man?
I've amazed myself with some stupidity this week.
Oh, recently? Oh, yeah. Okay.
So there's this really cool toy called Squigz, and it's like basically this like rubber plastic thing. It's got a suction cup or 2 or 3 depending on the piece, and they got little ball ends or middles, and basically you can like build stuff with them or stick them to the mirror or whiteboard or whatever, and we're using them at my daughter was at her physical therapy appointment this week, and we try to use them to entice her. And I like putting things on my head. Just it amuses kids. Like they, like if I balance a toy car on my head, like they laugh and then they come try to get it and that kind of thing. So I see suction cups and I think bald head, perfect. Stuck great. And now I have like these perfectly round hickeys on my forehead. At this recording, they've been there for 2 days.
And moving back to the middle of the top of your head too.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 in the middle of my forehead. Well, like 1 in the middle of my forehead, 1 right above it, and then I got 1 over on my left temple.
And like you got caught in one of those crazy octopus movies where they just suckle tentacles on your head, like tried to drag him in by his scalp. Yeah. But
so hickeys aren't usually the problem of middle-aged overweight adult males.
But Josh is better.
Yeah.
Everybody should have been around for that era. Yes, sir.
So don't look at my kitchen in the morning, because what you will find is me eating a banana and rubbing the inside of the peel on my forehead, because apparently that's a good hickey remedy.
God, the days you wish for video you can tap into. Oh, well, just hearing about it is enough entertainment for me.
Yeah, make sure that the phone is in the pocket so that the camera just gets the inside of my pocket.
There you go. Chicken.
No,
well, anyway. Well, you're in a good mood this week. I'm enjoying that. And Marlena is just, oh man, she's all happy and giggling today. That was just wonderful.
Yeah, she started to get very vocal the last couple of weeks. About a week and a half ago, she had a sleep regression. She stopped sleeping basically.
Mm-hmm.
She was sleeping 4 hours a night and then being up for 2-3 hours and passing out for a couple hours and then not napping. And usually when that happens, it means that there's something going on in the brain developmentally.
Mm-hmm.
And she came out of it with sounds. Like she's saying hi and up,
Mm-hmm.
and she's barking when the dog barks.
Oh.
And she gets arf arf, and then
Oh, really?
if she wants, if she's awake after her nap or in the morning, and you come in the room, she'll say up, and sometimes she'll say up when she wants out of her play set.
That is a big change.
Yeah, and she's just vocalizing a lot more. Even when she doesn't have syllables or words, she'll chatter. So that's the developmental piece that she hit recently.
Nice.
And then she's been sleeping more or less for the last week, so that's good. And I say more or less.
Fun days ahead, Mr. Shearer. Fun days ahead.
Yeah. So when I say more or less, I mean she might wake up once in the night. If she wakes up at night, then she might sleep all the way till like 9 o'clock. And if she doesn't wake up at night, then she sleeps through to like 7:30. So reasonable hours. And normally if she wakes up at night, then it's not at an unreasonable hour. Like it'll be like 10:30 or something, even though she's only been asleep for a couple hours or an hour and a half. Or it'll be like 1:30, but I'll be working till 3, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, it's been kind of nice.
Cool. Well, you deserve that.
So I thought what we talk about this week is things that are making our lives better. And I mean, like our individual lives, because sometimes we're having a hard time. I think what you're hearing is Marlena playing drums.
Okay.
Sometimes we might just be having a hard time during the day, and with something to turn to, TV show, book, tool that makes our life better. Or sometimes through the course of our day, just as we're living our lives, cooking, cleaning, recording a podcast, writing Vitamin K Daily, we have tools that we use that make our lives just way easier. Yeah.
Okay, easier. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, easier is better, right?
Sometimes.
Nobody wants to individually go hand cassette tapes to people. Hey, listen to my podcast this week. I'm going to need that back so I can record over it.
You must have listened to my podcast because I came up with cassette tapes. Who did that anymore?
I still do. So I've got
a little regression.
I have I saved some cassette tapes from my life. I used to collect like Phish bootlegs.
Get out.
It's the band PHISH.
Oh, yeah?
And so I've got a bunch of those, and then like some of the albums that I enjoyed throughout high school, I had on cassette. Stuff like Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever and that kind of thing. I still had them and they were working, and I didn't want to buy them on other media. So
right.
I have them out in the garage when I go to work out, because I got a bench out there and a jump rope, and whenever I pop them on, I got a little dual cassette player out there. I pop them in there, and I listen and do my thing. If I'm working out, if I'm brewing a batch of beer.
Are you brewing again?
I have a batch right now. I brewed this batch last summer.
Okay.
And
because I haven't come to get my Marlena batch.
I have
save me one.
I have I have one growler left of it. So it's about a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So when we open that, we have to finish it. But
okay, well, hold on to that. Let me plan the trip.
All right, so that beer's been open. The beer's been in that bottle for about 14 months now.
Oh,
so
is it still digesting sugar?
No, it's not getting.
Bummer.
Well, it's not getting higher ABV. Although people have reported that they feel drunker than they should, which doesn't make any sense. But
sounds like a road trip. Testing.
But they but it kept its taste.
Got it.
It's not, time isn't ruining it. But I brewed this batch of a Potter's beer. That's Pater.
Okay.
Beer.
We'll take your word for it.
Last summer, and it didn't ferment. Well, it didn't. Well, it fermented. It didn't carbonate. So I was like, okay, I gave up on it after about 2 months. And normally it takes about 2 weeks. And I was like, well, if it hasn't carbonated in 2 months, forget it. I'm just going to put this in a bin. I'm just going to put all these bottles in a bin, and I'll use them for cooking. And a few weeks ago, I made pork chops, and I went to marinate them in one of these beers, and it had carbonated. I'm like, well, I don't know why this took 6 months to carbonate. But I shared one with my wife last night, and it was good. This is not the time of year to be drinking this. It's a light. It's like a 4.5%. It's a lawnmower beer. It's like, you go out for, you go out and you do the yard work, and you want a cold, refreshing something. When you're done, this is that.
Could be a soda, but it's a beer. Yeah.
Well, for the people who go out back and have a Coors Light or a Bud Light when they come in, or a Blue Light in Central New York, is that's the kind of same concept. It's a very light, refreshing thing, and it's good.
Well, I didn't really mean to take you off track, but you said brewing beer, and I thought I didn't think you were brewing anymore.
So I've got a batch of that, and maybe I'll get something going for the summer. So I have 2 stout kits, but probably not going to be wanting to drink a 7% heavy chocolate stout in the summer here.
You have air conditioning?
I do.
Those bars have air conditioning. I can work that out.
Yeah.
If you just needed to test.
I'll probably, I may make one of those.
Don't worry about it. Don't base it on.
Well, I mean, it beats trying to figure out what I'm going to brew next. If I already have 2 kits here, right?
That's all right. Yeah. I'm undependable. So.
But actually, if I make that, for if I make that in April or May, it'll have mellowed nicely by the time I want to open it in November.
Oh, I'm going to visit November this time, huh?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Come when it's crappy and cold up there. You know, come when it's
Well, that only gives me like 9 months to plan that out.
well, look,
I didn't say that. No.
you know, we like coming up there. We like, we're coming up there in April, which is not our first choice, but we had a bar mitzvah to go to anyway. So we're like, well, we're going to take a trip. We might as well get everybody. And we normally would like to come up there in like August when it's disgusting here and not so bad there.
Comparisons. Tisk. So I'm guessing that you think that one of the things that makes our life easier are airlines we can fly on to get away from where we don't want to be right now.
Well, planes are certainly better than walking.
You don't get near as many steps on a Fitbit.
Hey, look, Louis C.K. did a bit a while ago about this. He's like, people get so upset that, oh my gosh, we had to wait 40 minutes on the tarmac. And then you flew in the sky like a Greek god. That trip from New York to Los Angeles, it used to take you 30 years and people died on the way. You were a whole new set of people by the time you got where you were going.
True enough. That could, looking back, it's kind of crazy because nobody remembers, well, especially, people born later, they don't remember when it was a real chore, and whatever that was. So it's like, what do you got to compare it to? Oh, but here's what I compared. I had a friend come through a couple of years ago who was a pilot for a private company. So he came in on a private jet. And you know what? They don't have to play the airport game. Go on, go through the thing and all. No. No, if you got a private jet, a corporate jet, whatever, you don't have to do. It's a whole different lifestyle. Right? And I'm like, man, wish I had enough money for a private jet. I probably got enough for the private jet pilot, but the jet's a different thing. But we can rent them.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, a couple of years ago, when we started talking about how ads come up on Facebook because they're watching you and stuff like that. I had taken a picture of me on the steps of this jet. I mean, I had to make sure that there was no identifying marks and stuff.
Right.
But I'm on it, and I said, I've always wanted to own a jet, and within 24 hours, I was getting pop-up ads for jets and jet rentals.
Yep.
I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Every once in a while, when I want to feel really special, I pop that picture back up there, and there I am.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. If you want to play a fun game, Google like really expensive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
really?
Yeah. Because then if you do that for a couple of days, the ads you see start to change. And you start getting ads for like $10,000 watches. And
so here's the deal. Supposedly my browsers are blocking all that stuff now, and all that tracking. So it'd be a good test of that.
Oh, it would,
to find out if the trackers are actually being stopped. Let me think of a good. When we start thinking about that, there's some other searches I probably don't want to make. Anyway, okay, that's good.
Yeah, you might not want to jump right into
a lot of
high priced escort market there.
Would be wondering about weapons. No, that's not go there. So that's making life easier. So I mean, what direction did you, just general direction for this conversation?
Yeah, so right now Douglas Rushkoff is making my life better.
Who's that?
He's a writer. He's a media studies guy, which is, what I got, which is what I did my master's work in. But he's in the academic and commentary field. I first became aware of him about 20-ish years ago, maybe a little more. And he was writing about his friend Genesis P-Orridge. Douglas is one of those guys who made Manhattan what it was in the 70s for the punk scene. Before it started to gentrify and push everybody out from that era. And he really, we talk about better humanhood and what we can do, but he really takes a look at how the internet in particular, and in general, the corporate world is dehumanizing us. He even talks about, we meet on Zoom, and this is a face-to-face video conferencing platform that we use here. And when we have a guest on, we always tell them that we meet in video but only release the audio because we find the video easier to connect as humans.
Right.
But if you go into our brains, when we're doing this is not the same as meeting in person. Apart from the fact that whether we detect it or not, there's a lag. And sometimes we detect it more than others, of course, depending on network speeds. But the trust hormones, some of the interpersonal connection hormones, we don't get them when we're meeting digitally like this.
Really?
Yeah. So if you and I were meeting for the first time this way, this helps with some of the nonverbal communications, right? We can see movement. You're nodding your head right now. You can't hear that on a podcast. You can't hear that on the telephone. But
well, normally when I'm shaking my head, you don't hear it anyway. But that was a different terror.
But I can pick up on that bit of nonverbal communication looking at you. But if this were the first time we were meeting, we wouldn't be building trust right now in any different way than we would, if we were on the phone. We get, like I said, we get some of that different feedback.
Yeah.
But the elements of trust that you build kind of in person, when you can feel the heat coming off of somebody, and when you feel of how they're interacting with their environment because you're sharing the environment, we don't get any of that stuff.
Interesting concept. I wouldn't have thought that to be true.
He also talks about memes and how they play on us and how they affect us. And I'm reading his book Future Shock right now. No, Present Shock. Sorry, Future Shock is the book that it was parodying in the title. Present Shock. And it's about how everything is now. We joke about time travel on this podcast, right? Because we're recording on Friday, talking on Monday, and sometimes that Monday is like weeks in advance, and we can talk about things that happened yesterday. And they're all the thing is, it's all happening now. If somebody listens to this in 6 years, it's happening now for them. Everything's in the present all the time.
Right.
If you're looking back at Facebook posts from 2012, you can see that it says 2012, but you're reading that now, so that emotion is happening now for you. So everything is all happening at the same time. So everything is in the same time at the same place.
Wow.
And we are so not wired for that.
True. And Facebook likes to bring back the past like it happened yesterday. Oh, look, you've been friends with this person for 14 years, but you're right here. And it's as if it happened just that day, which is kind of messed up. Yeah.
But that's,
interesting.
Yeah. So that's something it's helping me put basically the past 12 years or so of where my brain has wandered off to into perspective. Like I'm starting to get it now. I've had the thought that it's not right, and that things don't quite align because we don't read things at the same time, we don't hear things at the same time, we don't experience things at the same time, and if you read Twitter, you might get mad at something that somebody said, but you're just seeing their tweet from 2 days ago, and you respond to that, and they're like, "What are you talking about? I had that thought like forever ago." And
yeah.
But everything is constantly now, and I didn't really have the words. Like I knew something was going on. I understood something was different and not exactly aligned. And
right.
He put it into words well for me.
Cool. I may read part of that one day. Okay, is that another one of those 500-page books?
No, it's not too bad.
Okay.
A couple hundred pages. Yeah, I've got a pile of books from the library that I need to start plowing through, but that's one that I'm taking my time with.
Sounds good. Well, the stuff that makes life better for me and I realized this a little bit ago. But first of all, meditation. I'm really good these days at not getting overly wired about most things. So meditation actually helps. And in this case, by meditation, I'm not even necessarily about, talking about anything that's, spiritual or really, really deep, but just the ability to sit and breathe. I check my breath a lot. I breathe shallowly. It's not a problem. It's not like a problem breath, but I don't spend a lot of time taking big, deep breaths in and big, deep breaths out. I'm just sitting there, and my resting breathing is very shallow, but it's very relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but doing that and just taking the time to sit and, collect life, enjoy the quiet that is my house. I gotta, somebody asked me, was I ever going to be like married again or something? And I'm like, probably not, because I enjoy the quiet, and I enjoy the peace that is my residence right now. So for somebody else to be able to come into that, it would be something else. But aside from that, I mean, that helps me calm down. And smooth jazz is my go-to. I mean, when I want to just chill, when I want to just feel good with no particular reason, smooth jazz generally does it for me. So I always have something handy. I don't listen to it all the time, but I was advised not too long ago by a young lady who was actually one of Brendan Burchard's high performance leadership coach graduates. It's fascinating.
Can we give this young lady some love instead of Brendan, since she's the one who gave you the tip?
Well, be that way.
I'm just going to talk into the microphone a little bit while Kevin looks up the name.
Because it's like, oh my gosh, what was her name? See, that's what happens to me.
Because she gave you the idea, right? Like, she's the one making your life better right now.
Yeah, we'll put her name in it.
All right,
and a link to her website.
Yeah, you text me that
in the show notes. Awesome lady though. And I actually met her on one of those mall meetups. We used to do them with LinkedIn and stuff. Just
sure, yeah.
People you don't know.
So are you using any apps for meditation? And do you have anybody like in the smooth jazz field that you're listening to specifically?
My smooth jazz is on my phone. The people that I love are like Boney James.
Uh-huh.
Let me even look at my list anymore. Of course. Where is it? I know it's here. It says music. I kind of denamed them. I just started listening to them and then they go. But I got these playlists. So one of my favorite artists is Boney James. Almost anything by Boney James is awesome. I've been listening to him for probably 15, 20 years, and he's awesome. I like smooth, and it's nice with him. There's another guy, Larry Carlton. I like him on a lot of stuff. And here's a problem with my jazz collection is I got a jazz collection I like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need any other ever. The stuff that I have is perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, it used to be stuff by Earl Klugh. Earl Klugh was really good. George Howard, saxophone. And Boney James, I already mentioned him, but his saxophone is amazing. Gerald Albright is good. There's too many, but those are ones that are good. And Jeff Lorber, by the way, Jeff Lorber is good. So I have a playlist that has like those guys in it. It just go over and over and over and over and over. And I have them divided into, Energize Me and
Mm-hmm.
Soothe Me and stuff like that. So whatever I'm in the mood for, we just go for. So that helps me a lot. And the other thing that I like to do every once in a while when I allow myself to privilege, like yesterday, I was in a tizzy for some reason. I was frustrated about a bunch of stuff. And I decided to take out all that hamburger I had in the refrigerator, thawed, and make me a batch of chili. Something about cooking.
I love cooking too. It stresses my wife out a lot.
Oh.
I think that part of it is always that you got to come up with something to make.
Mm-hmm.
But just chopping onions and I find it so relaxing.
It got a really, really sharp set of knives too, so you got to be careful. But for the chili,
don't relax too much.
Don't relax too much. Who was that? Who the knives by? Oh my God. Anyway, college kids sell them a lot, but they're excellent knives. I have the set I have because my sister.
Is it a Cutco kind of?
Cutco.
Okay.
Cutco. My sister bought a set from my niece, who at the time was selling them. And I think my sister gave them to me because she got tired of trying to slice her hand off. I was cleaning the blade one day and going through a paper towel, and it sliced through the paper towel, and it took the very top layer off, like the fingerprint side of my finger, just that thin. I'm like, oh, that could have been really ugly.
And then because my immediate thought was like, oh, I could make some really thin potato chips.
I got to get back to doing potatoes, but yesterday was kind of cool because I like my chili to be colorful. So I get 3 different colors of peppers, and I get my onions, and I put all that in there, and just the act of doing that. And yesterday was a special bonus because not only did I start the chili and get it in a crock pot and get it running and everything, I actually cleaned up the kitchen right after.
Wow. Yeah.
So I got chili cooking and my kitchen is clean. I'm a bachelor. That doesn't happen that often. But
I am not a bachelor, and that doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, it was a very satisfying feeling. So one of my regimens, if I'm stressed or something, is cook something. Be sure I listen to to jazz, and my young friend whose name has slipped my mind. That happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna blame it on. I'm gonna blame it on the age.
I'm gonna second the cooking, and I do mine a little different. I like colors for a nice balanced meal. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to fuel my family, like that's when I want.
Right.
But so the weather here in Savannah has been weird the last few weeks. We've had like a little bit of sun on Monday, and then it'll rain Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We won't see the sun again until Friday, but by the time the sun comes out, the weather has changed and it's gotten cold. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll be stuck inside working Saturday and Sunday when it's starting to get nice again, really.
Oh yeah.
And then we go through the thing again. And it's done that 3 weeks in a row now. And one of the things that I like to do when it comes to cooking is to try to flatten the palate.
Mm-hmm.
So like this morning for breakfast, I had a big breakfast this morning, but it was all the same color. I had an onion and an apple and a banana and an egg white scramble.
Oh wow.
So everything was white except the apple peel.
Right.
And you cook it and I had a green apple, so it was light anyway. It wasn't a heavy contrast.
And you do that on purpose.
Yeah. Yes, I did it on
Okay.
purpose.
All right.
And I cooked it in olive oil, so everything gets like a yellowish tint.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not just it's a good fuel food
Right.
anyway. But then to get the visual creativity with it,
Mm-hmm.
to really force yourself to enjoy something, but to set a rule outside of the I want to say outside of the genre,
Mm-hmm.
but eating is visual as well. Yeah, like we feel more satisfied if we eat
I
something that
have
looks
to agree with you there.
we feel more satisfied when we eat something that looks good and we enjoy it more.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there a lot.
So it's not really setting a rule outside the genre, but it is setting a rule that has nothing to do with taste.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you like it to taste good, and yeah, it did. I put a little cayenne, a little bit of black pepper in there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, taste. Yeah. I don't do too much with the cayenne.
That kicked it up a little bit, but it was bananas get super sweet when you cook them. And
I haven't actually cooked those. Although I made banana bread once. One time,
yeah,
it wasn't my best effort, but I ate it anyway because, well, it was new. Right?
yeah. I bake so little. Just you might not know this about me, but I have a problem with authority and convention.
I've heard stories.
So
I've heard stories about that. Yeah.
Now, baking requires physics,
Uh-huh.
and you either got to know the physics or follow the recipe. And you can mess with the recipe a little bit
Mm-hmm.
when you're baking, but if you mess with any of the chemicals that actually make the stuff do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
you got a problem. So I'm always worried about not following the rules and winding up with some 8-foot tall muffin blowing out the oven.
I'd like to see that, actually. I would. when you get that together,
Yeah.
8-foot tall muffin. Of course, we've had like 4-foot pumpkins, right?
Oh, there's somebody working on a 315-foot long charcuterie board to lay out in Little Falls, New York,
Wow.
in the fall.
You gonna come back for that?
I was talking about it.
Huh. Interesting. Keep me posted.
Okay.
So yeah.
They're like, well, we're in the 315, so 315 feet long. Let's do it.
That's got to be something.
It's a lot of meat.
Well, yeah, seriously. Well, that's fun stuff. So yeah, that's what makes my life easier. Now, we weren't talking about cars or anything like that. Just stuff that, I don't know, makes you
Yeah, well, I mean, little things that are making your life better. I think that, I think people get cars, right? They're,
oh yeah,
they're not. There's nobody listening to this podcast who never thought about buying a car before. Wait, a car would help me get from place to place. They're right.
Sometimes
we're not breaking new ground on that.
No, but I'll tell you something else that helps me too. People might not. I don't watch television. I don't spend hours watching. I mean, occasionally I'll watch a movie. Like 3 people have told me about this movie I gotta watch soon. Which, if I can get to the point where I'm going to actually sit in front of the screen, but I intentionally don't watch TV. When I go home to visit my family in Maryland, that's all they do.
The TV is just on.
Got this big old. The TV's just on, and then I kind of get hooked because, well,
Well, that's what it does.
The NCIS reruns, man. Oh, they're really good. Oh, the ones in Vegas with Mark Harmon. Oh, yeah, they're really good.
It's funny that
That's not Vegas. That's Mark Harmon.
Yeah. We it used to be that if you're watching TV, we had. You probably grew up with 3 channels, 4 channels maybe. I grew up with 4 going on 5. I grew up with ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS, and then Fox came on.
I do remember the black and white days too, by the way, just so you know. And I'm not sure what.
We had our second TV. We always had. We had a big colored TV in the den, and then I say big. I say it was big because it was Catherine. It was one of those big CRTs, and
yes, sir, buddy.
You needed 2 people to carry it. And then we had this little 13-inch black and white TV that most of the time would be in my parents' room, and sometimes we'd bring it downstairs into the kitchen. But yeah, I mean, I grew up. Even I grew up with a black and white TV.
Yeah,
they couldn't figure out how to get cable TV across the railroad tracks until I was 13 or 14. But it used to be that when we sat down to watch TV, there were a few choices, and when something was on, that's when you watched it.
And everybody would watch it together. Well, most of the time, yeah.
Well, I mean, that was us with. We still allowed to have grown up with Bill Cosby. We all sat around the TV at 8:00 on Thursday night to watch the Cosby Show. That's when it was on.
Yeah.
We would turn on Jeopardy at 7:30. That's when it was on. You couldn't just say. You couldn't just say, "Hey, I want to watch Jeopardy. Let me call it up on this box or that box or this screen or that screen or the phone in my pocket." The phone in my pocket? Nobody had a phone in their pocket in 1987.
That was a big lump, boy.
Battery
those
pack
phones.
But yeah, so so you're not watching TV.
Not
It's
watching.
making your life better, but what are you replacing it with?
That's personal. Actually, I spend a lot. I do spend a lot of time.
8 hours a day. The 8 hours a day.
I spend a lot of time on the computer.
Okay, I was said the 8 hours a day that most people spend watching TV. That's when Calvin's doing the other M that our guest last week, Frank King, didn't want to mention aloud. Okay.
No. We're just gonna go. Forget that. No. I do a lot of stuff on the computer. I do research. I write. I do video stuff. I'm a photographer. I play with images, but I also have the ability to sit in my family room, which is we're going to call it it's my family room in my house. I also use
It's where the pictures of your family are.
a lot of other people's families are in there right now.
That's true.
Actually, and just sit. I love to just sit and listen to the clock tick, because just that piece, I'm not bombarded by all that stuff, and just breathe and relax. So I'm very good at that.
I wonder how many people forgot about ticking clocks.
Probably a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
probably
the high-end watch market is coming back because people are starting to get it's something that people are into. Yeah, they're
Right.
fans of. But there's like that middle line, like you used to run down to JCPenney and get like a Casio.
Yeah.
Like that's gone. Like nobody does that anymore because everybody's got the cell phone to keep time. And everybody's.
I stopped wearing stuff on my wrist, actually.
Yeah.
So
like that's gone. So people don't have that on their wrist unless they're getting something a little higher end, and then or smartwatches. Most of the time I'm wearing a Garmin.
Yeah, you're doing that, and I thought about that. I'm deciding not to be that hooked on the technology. I have a Fitbit in my pocket, and it's the first one I ever bought. It's the little one, the one, right?
I've got one of those.
It's about the size of a suppository.
I have one of those as well, but the Garmin isn't for me to. I mean, it'll buzz if I get an email or a text or something, which is actually nice because then if the phone buzzes, I don't have to check it. I can just look at my wrist and say, oh, I don't need to get that right now. But it's also it also handles the like my mileage for running and my heart rate, so I can just look down and say, oh, I'm getting up. My heart rate's at 170. I either need to slow down or walk for a minute.
Yeah, you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But but also with like with an analog clock that actually ticks. A lot of people went to digital clocks, to digital clock radios.
Right.
So a lot of people just don't have ticking clocks anymore.
Right. But I got one in my kitchen. And when I really want to, when I go to do, when I want to actually meditate, so, because when we meditate, they tell you to pick something.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing my breathing, I will actually listen. I will tune in to the tick of the clock in the kitchen, and it's rhythmic, is good. And if you can focus on that, that's cool, because it just brings you right in, and you do that.
Nice.
And incidentally, I remembered the name of that wonderful young lady.
Oh, good. What is it?
Her name is Sara, Sara Cruz, Cruz. she's awesome. She is a graduate of Brendan Burchard's high performance leadership coaching, and she's an awesome human being. And you put that name in, you'll find her. And
Yeah, I would say
on her coaching website, there's a picture of her and Brendan Burchard just to prove it. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So, anyway.
I would say not to take anything away from Brendan and his work, but she's the one who gave you the idea.
That is correct. She was a wonderful person, and she's brilliant otherwise too. She's doing a bunch of stuff. So I was very impressed with her at the beginning. I mean, and continuously since. We've communicated a couple of times because she stays busy doing life, and but she took some time out one day, and she just you know what, I met you. This is what we came up with. Think about this kind of thing to help make your life a little bit better. And she's the one who actually said, okay, so cooking gives you energy. You need to cook at least once a month. Or twice a month. If you like listening to jazz, you need to listen to jazz because that gives you power. And so she was, So as a matter of fact, I've got a thing in the front of my planner that she gave me. So every, once a week or so, I read what she told me so I can and go back and make sure I do it.
Nice.
Even to high performance breathing, which is stuff. So yeah. So Sarah, I apologize for having your name not be on the tip of my tongue, but now everybody who is a JKWD podcast listener knows about your awesome self. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. So
I'm old. I get,
I know that we're probably approaching an hour if we're not over an hour already. So, I want to wrap it up soon, but one of the things that you told me about that is making my life better is a NutriBullet. This is an under $100 kitchen appliance that will I use it for a coffee grinder, and I use it to make
do the coffee grinding with.
Yeah, and I use it to make smoothies, and I use it to do a whole bunch of stuff.
And I do my green green spinach smoothies with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't just do green spinach because that's just yucky all straight by itself. But you throw some bananas and some raspberries in there, and some stuff. Oh yeah.
Some protein powder, yeah. But yeah.
And look up the benefit of phytonutrients, ladies.
But you can, sometimes when I'm making soup, I want to. I don't want a. I don't want whole carrots in there or whatever. Right. Boil a carrot and stick them in the. Stick them in the Magic Bullet and the NutriBullet and yeah. Yeah,
because the Magic Bullet's littler.
Yep. Doesn't do as much, and I was working with one of those.
Think of it. I need to go look at some of the other uses, like for nuts and. See, now I know what to go to do the coffee beans. So I can use the French.
Your French press.
French press. Yes.
And then you can also I bet you could make some nut butters too. You want to make your own peanut butter?
Yeah, I thought about it. I haven't done it yet. Have you done that?
No, I haven't, but it occurs to me that it occurs to me. Well,
it dices.
Well, it probably doesn't make cheaper peanut butter because peanut butter is pretty cheap. Yeah. We pay $1.50 for a jar of the natural stuff. Stuff that's just peanuts and salt. But I bet it makes I bet if you want other nut butters, if you want to make a decent almond butter or cashew butter or walnut butter or something, I bet it'll do you much better than the stuff you buy at the store.
You're most likely correct.
As far as price goes.
So it is. I tell you what, of the many things I've bought, and I bought that a few years ago because a friend of mine was actually telling me about some health issues they had and how using that let her make the green smoothies because if you want to know about food and what's happening in the country, this is an old book, but read Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman, I think is his name. Scary stuff about the food supply. But and that's old. So if it's got a new book, it's probably even better. But anyway, how much she cured herself. So making those green smoothies, because I wasn't really getting the nutrients before, and using the NutriBullet, it doesn't cook the goodness out of it. So it makes it in a usable form.
Right. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't
maintains all the nutrition,
and it makes eating 6 or 8 ounces of spinach or whatever a little
way better,
less tedious.
Absolutely. So I had some good fun. So anyway, yeah, those things make my life easier. Gosh, I'm glad you reminded me of all of them.
All right.
Something happens in our brains when we start talking about stuff we like with people we like.
Yeah. We came in with just a kind of a bug of an idea, and this might be bordered on our longest non-guest podcast. So thank you for Kelvin.
Everybody likes this.
Yeah. So thank you, Kelvin, for putting up with me. Thank you, everybody else, for being here and eavesdropping on our wonderful conversations. Thank you to Kettle and Fire. Go to kettleandfire.com. That's KETTLEANDFIRE.com. Knock that chill out of your bones by filling up your box. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout. Use code BetterHumanhood when you're checking out for 10% off. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye.
A Better Humanhood production.